Good morning, Fellowship Hi-Crest. Thanks for joining us today on July 2nd for our Jumpstart. Today we're going to be in Judges chapter 6, verses 1 through 14. And I am actually going to read verses 6 through 10. So go ahead and join me there. You'll find it to say this. So Israel was reduced to starvation by the Midianites. Then the Israelites cried out to the Lord for help. When they cried out to the Lord because of Midian, so the Lord sent a prophet to the Israelites. And he said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of slavery in Egypt. I rescued you from the Egyptians and from all who oppressed you. I drove out your enemies and gave you their land. I told you, I am the Lord your God. You must not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you now live. But you have not listened to me." See, the Israelites had just experienced 40 years of peace under Deborah, the judge Deborah, but that generation again had forgotten God's character, and they had started to do evil again and not follow God, and so He was punishing them. The Midianites were especially cruel. They were the neighborhood bully, but they were doing a lot more than stealing the Israelites' lunch money. For 7 years, every year they would swarm into the land, and they would steal all the crops and all of the harvest that the Israelites had worked hard to plant and to grow and to harvest. And in their desperation, though, they remembered God. They remembered Him, and they called out to Him for help. And we see in our passage today that God chooses to call Gideon. See, we had moved from the heroic Deborah to the reluctant Gideon. This move drives home the point in Judges, though, that Israel's salvation doesn't come from the judge, right? It doesn't come from the person, the woman, or the man that is leading the Israelites. God is driving home the point that their salvation and restoration comes from Him and Him alone. And so when He chooses Gideon, this reluctant leader, this person that thinks that he's not able, not equipped, like he's completely the wrong person, God is saying to them, I'm going to be the one that is your strength. I'm going to be the one that is your salvation. I'm going to give you the courage that you need. And He's trying to demonstrate that He is trustworthy, that He is mighty, and that He's a God worthy of the Israelites' devotion. He's going to care for them and provide for them, and He's going to protect them as long as they choose to be faithful to God and to God alone. And see, I'm really encouraged by this today because I've often felt like Gideon, right? I've felt completely inadequate. I've questioned, how could God possibly choose or want to use me? Like, doesn't He know me? But that's just it. He does know us. But what we're missing out on is that we're focusing on ourselves. We're looking down at what I can do, and instead of focusing on God's character and what He can do, and remembering that if He's going to call us to something, that He's going to give us the strength and the courage to do it, that He's going to give us all of the skills that that we need to accomplish His task, right? It's again His calling. I just have to remember that I need to keep my eyes focused on Him, focused on His character, remember His promises, and remember that if He calls me to something, that He's going to equip me to do it. Our part and my part is just simply obedience. Thanks for joining us today. Continue to power up, pour in, and spill out. We will see you Sunday morning for service.